this one. We need this one.
How many knives do you need?
Listen, do I ask you how many purses you have? This is man. Alright guys, I want to talk to you about the Spyderco Techno 2 right here. This is the knife that I was studying it online. Titanium scales. It looks so professional. Like if you want to wear a suit, put this knife in your pocket and it would fit. It would fit that occasion. I got to give a quick shout out to White Mountain Knives for sending this knife over to me. If you use the code GDEF, you get 10% off any of their selection. Pretty damn great. So back to this knife right here. We're not going to do a whole bunch of stats on the knife. I just want to point out a couple of key ones. The blade length, 2.52 inches. So this is a smaller knife right here. And I have a thing for smaller knives. Let's do some comparisons real quick. This is the Kershaw Shuffle. I think that this is a great comparison knife right here. This is one of the first EDC knives, the smaller EDC knives that I got. And I was like, yes, it did all of my cutting tool tasks that I needed. And it fit in my pocket, and a lot of times I would forget about it. You can see right here that the Kershaw Shuffle has a shorter blade, definitely a shorter blade, but that's one. Let's check out another smaller knife, okay? How about the Spyderco Dragonfly? This is a, kind of a, in that realm right there. Definitely a shorter blade, less cutting edge, but not too far off. I wouldn't think it's not too far off. Maybe a half an inch shorter or something like that. Okay, well let's go to a bigger knife. How about the Spyderco Native 5? And you can see that I'm kind of in love with the Spyderco line, but this one it's an interesting comparison because actually the Spyderco Native 5 has about the same blade length as this Techno right here. I mean, I'm talking about 1/8 of an inch off, but definitely a lot bigger knife overall. The handle's a lot bigger, but that's kind of the Spyderco Native 5. One more comparison, and then we'll get on to talking about the Techno. How about the Benchmade Bug Out? Lot bigger knife, lot more cutting edge. Maybe that's not the best choice. So the steel on this knife is CTS XHP, which is a great quality steel, higher end steel. So that's going to offer you great edge retention. It's going to be easier to sharpen. Definitely like it. It came to me, this knife is super sharp, thin behind the edge as well. The design of this, let's talk about it. This knife is out of that Schliege line, like I said before. So it has these titanium scales. I think that the titanium scales is what really sells this knife. You can see that the craftsmanship on this knife is excellent. It's a frame lock knife. Got Spyderco's wire clip on the back right there. Nice little Spidey hole. I love the knives with the Spidey hole. And the blade, check out the blade. The blade has a nice little stonewash finish to it. When I was talking about the length of the blade before, I said it was 2.52 inches. Now, the weight on the knife is 3.4 ounces. So we're out of that ounce and inch mark by almost a whole ounce. We need another inch of blade on this knife to kind of go by that rule. So there's something off there. And then what's off is the thickness of these scales. Even though that they're titanium, and titanium is supposed to be, a lighter weight steel, they're just so thick. Check out the spacers, green spacers. I don't know where they got that from. So let's talk about the function of the knife. Now, if we close this, use that frame lock, you can see the spider hole opening, right? So when I try to stick my finger in there, my thumb is I have a big thumb. I have a big hand. So when I try to put my thumb in there, it doesn't really fit. Now, if we pulled out the Dragonfly really quickly, now the Dragonfly has a little bit more blade exposed, so I can actually get my thumb in there and roll it out. Sweet. That's how it's supposed to work. Great. Great. How about the native 5? Spider hole, you know, Spidey hole. So same kind of thing. Even though on the native 5 there's less hole exposed, I can still put my thumb in there. Kind of work with me. Got to readjust my grip and I can open it up. Now with the Techno. The Techno, so you stick your thumb in there and you try to pop it open. First of all, it's kind of difficult with a bigger hand. And then you run into this part of the knife right here. It actually stops you from rolling it all the way up. So now you have to readjust your thumb to get the knife around to open it. So there's a couple of issues there. One, the spider hole is not exposed enough. Two, there's too much material right here so you can actually roll your thumb around it. So the design and function of that is kind of off. And then we'll talk about the grip of the knife. So when I put this smaller knife in my hand, I want to grab it. I want to choke up on the blade like right here, but I can't actually do that. I have to put it right like below that finger. It's not a choil, it's finger place or whatever. And then you put your thumb on the jimping on the back. It puts your wrist and hand in just an odd position. So the cutting, the way you're going to be cutting is just, it just doesn't feel right. So I think that this is a case of, you know, design, beautiful, function, not really, you know. So that's one thing about this knife. I mean, I need to go ahead and check out the rest of the Schliege line to see what else they have to offer, because I've seen that the other knives are, you know, they're, you know, pretty well respected and out there in the knife world. Definitely like the lanyard hole. I love knives with lanyard holes. I haven't gotten lanyard hole. I love having those because I stick a lot of times. I stick my knives in bags and stuff. So it's nice to have knives with lanyard holes so you can pull them out of bags. But I mean, back to this thing, man. I just can't. Let's talk about the price. The price on this thing, the MSRP is $330. Woo! That's kind of high. I would pay that for this knife if it had the proper function. If it was going to be a high-end, you can definitely tell this is a high-end knife. If it's going to be a high-end knife that had high functionality, then, you know, take my money. But when you start running into problems, you've been paid all this money and you start running into problems, the knife doesn't work like it's supposed to. Ooh, yeah, I can't recommend it. You know, even though it's a very pretty knife, I can't recommend it. I mean, White Mountain Knives has this knife for $231, which I think is a reduction. You know, definitely $100 difference between the $300 that they wanted or first started with this knife. But I still can't recommend it at $231. You know, I think $231. There's so many knives out there that you would be skipping over for $231 to get to this one. It's just okay. Guys, thanks for watching George Defined. If you like this video, hit the thumbs up button. If you love the content, subscribe to the channel. We talk about knives, flashlights, and mostly backpacks on this channel, to be totally honest. But you know, I ran into this thing and I really wanted to check it out because it was such a beautiful looking knife. It still is a very beautiful looking knife. Definitely like it. But the function, like I said. But if you got a question or a comment, leave it down there and I try to get back to you. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace, guys.